Yeah, so this story goes back when I was working at a hotel. And at a hotel, you tend to get a lot of strange people. People check in, and I worked at an extended stay hotel. Now, what that is for people that don't know is it's a hotel where people will get a special rate for staying longer. So you may get a deal with whatever, a company that you're with, or you may have an insurance claim. Something happens to your house, you get a fire, something happens. They have to relocate you for a little while. And if it's going to be longer than, a couple of nights, you might go to an extended stay hotel. People have stayed there for, months. Hell, there's people that have stayed in extended stay hotels for years. Depending on the reason. It could be long-term project for work. It could be, again, like I said, a house fire or a flood or something like that. You got problems with contractors, and, you end up staying long-term. But they're nice. They have, they all have kitchens in them. Breakfast, and in some cases, dinner is served. They did, at ours for at least a few days a week. You got a dinner included, kind of a thing. But I've noticed when you're in a setting, a long-term setting, people tend to get a little comfortable. If you're staying at a hotel for one night, people are on their best behavior. They're there one night. They're putting their best foot forward. But when people get comfortable and it becomes like their actual living space, the craziness level can start to amplify at times. And this one story really stuck out. There was a family that checked in, and I don't remember what the problem was, if it was a house fire or a flood. It was something like that, but it was an insurance claim. So they were going to be there a long time. And the gentleman that checked in, I'm not going to give the last name, I remember it, but the gentleman that checked in, his name was Lloyd, and his wife's name was Laura. And he was an attorney, and I don't know that she worked. She may have worked, but it never came up. But it was a strange kind of a deal, because every morning this woman would come down to the front desk, and she would have a mask of bandages on her face. And not bandages like, like those big dressings or anything like that. No, she would take Band-Aids and put them all over her face, except for her eyes, like a little bit of her nose and her mouth. So she would create a mask of Band-Aid bandages, and she would come down, and I don't know what the purpose of this was. Maybe some sort of mental illness, maybe. I don't know. There didn't seem to be any reason that I could come up with that would even make any sense. At first, I remember when I first saw her, I thought it was like some weird facial mask, for beauty purposes. But as I got a closer look, it was it was certainly Band-Aids, Johnson and Johnson. A little sticker, like skin color Band-Aids. Anyways, she would come down like that, not just like once. This was like a frequent occurrence. And she would always have something crazy to say, and most of the time it didn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. And then one day she started bringing down with her in the morning bloody bed sheets. Now, when people check into hotels, they oftentimes need extra things. They'll come and they'll ask for extra pillows, extra blankets, towels, you name it. Whatever's in the room is never enough. And if you've ever worked the front desk at a hotel for any period of time, you will know that people just need extra stuff, like always need extra stuff. I've stayed at countless hotels, and I never felt the need to have any extra things. But anyways, people always wanted it. So she would bring down these sheets, but they were soiled, they were bloody. And she would want new sheets and then extra sheets on top of that. And then the next day she would come down, and sure enough, more bloody sheets. And I don't mean a little bit of blood. I mean a substantial amount of blood on every sheet that she would bring down. And this goes on for weeks, right? So finally, housekeeping's complaining, people are complaining, and the managers are complaining as well, that we cannot keep laundering all these bloody sheets. So we have to have a talk with her. So the next time she comes down with the sheets, she's asked why are these sheets all bloody? And her response to that was that she had a heavy flow. And it must have been pretty heavy because these sheets were really, really soaked in blood. Like somebody got killed up there or something. So we let her know, hey, the whole bloody sheets thing, that's not going to work anymore. If you want to go ahead and if you have some sort of an issue where you constantly have bloody sheets, you're going to have to provide your own sheets at this point, because our housekeeping is no longer going to be taking in a daily supply of bloody sheets. So she does agree to that. I guess that's no longer an issue. About a month into it, a police call is made, I think by her. There's some sort of a domestic issue, and the husband, Lloyd, has to leave for a while. I don't think he doesn't get arrested, but he just can't be there anymore. And he's not there for, I don't know, maybe a week, and then eventually he comes back. And then I think there was another domestic call that went out to the police. Same thing, some issue. He disappears for a little while again, and then comes back. The whole stay is weird with these people, and I don't remember exactly how long that they stayed. But I do remember that when they checked out of the hotel, there was a balance due. Now, the way this works sometimes in the hotel business is that when a company, like an insurance company, is paying for someone who's made a claim to stay there, typically they don't pay every single day. A rate is negotiated with the insurance company, and then at the end of the stay, they cut just a big check, and which we were expecting. They had stayed there for months at least, and it racked up a substantial 5-figure balance. We asked for that balance to be paid, and they disappeared. No word from them. So we're trying to figure this out. We're calling the insurance company. We finally get a hold of the insurance company. They let us know they cut a check to the family. So typically they would cut us the check because we're the ones that are rendering the service. They don't do this. They cut a check to the family, and the family is gonzo. They're not answering their phones. I think their number may have changed. Anyways, nothing. And I want to say like a half of a year goes by, and this balance still remains unpaid. Well, the general manager and I are having lunch at a pita restaurant. I think it was a Mr. Pita. And we're looking... I'm trying to remember how exactly... That's what it was. There was a Daily Variety magazine sitting there in the corner where people, like local businesses, will take out ads and they'll write some, crappy articles about stuff that's going on locally. And on that cover of that Daily Variety is Lloyd. And he's advertising legal services in the Daily Variety. So this has his office number on it. So we're laughing. It's like, oh my God, it's Lloyd. We can get them. Let's go see if we can get the money back that he owes us for the stay that the insurance company cut him the check. We reach out to Lloyd. He basically says, they must have cut the check to my wife. And I think she probably just cashed it. And who knows what happened to that money. Maybe she spent it. I don't know. Either way, that never made it back to us. However, Lloyd actually, after being called on it, honors it, sends a check. And to our surprise, the check clears. End of the story, right? Not so fast. Maybe fast forward another year. Watching television, news comes on. Lloyd and his wife's picture are on the news. It turns out that Lloyd is now dead, and Laura is the prime suspect. They raid the house. They find human tissue in the refrigerator. They find a bunch of bloody towels, rags, and sheets all over the house. They find that Lloyd and Laura's bedroom has been turned into some sort of an operating theater. I don't know what to think at this point, but I do remember bandages on the face. I remember bloody sheets coming down. Apparently what happened is there was some sort of, Lloyd had suffered some sort of injury. And I want to say it was, I read it had something to do with some canoeing accident where an oar had pierced him, went through his body some kind of weird way into his back. Well, his wife apparently was some sort of a nurse or I don't know what. Maybe she just played one on TV. But I guess she was doing some sort of bizarre wound care was what the whole thing went down for. Anyways, yeah, the bedroom's an operating room. There's human parts in the fucking fridge. It's a cluster. So that explains the bloody sheets. That explains... It was just a weird story that I wanted to share. Beyond that, I don't think she actually went to jail. I want to say she was found not guilty. Or maybe there was something with some, medical malpractice or practicing medicine without a license. I don't think anyone will truly know the whole story of what went on at that house or what went on at any point with those two. But I just remember very vividly that, her coming down with Band-Aids all over her face and bringing down a bunch of bloody sheets. So, when shit's weird, usually there's a reason behind it. And God bless Lloyd's soul wherever he is. And, I guess she never did go to jail. But, it's just one of those weird stories. So, what are you going to do?